write the equation for the graphed function. So looking at this graph, we can very visibly see that we have the graph of a parabola. And whenever you have a parabola, you have a quadratic function. The general form of a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c, but I think we will have an advantage if we use the vertex or standard form. So a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k, because the vertex of a parabola locates the coordinates hk. So in this case, those coordinates are at 3 on the x and -2 on the y. So that already gives us a point that exists on the parabola. And that's a really important point that we can plug into the equation and get us most of the way here. So we now have f of x equals a times x minus the h, which is the x coordinate of the vertex, so x minus 3 squared, and minus 2, because the k value is negative. Now the only thing we need is the value of a. Now this a, there is one simple way of getting it if you understand how it works. If you go from the vertex 1 unit to the right, however far you have to travel to get to the next point on your curve is the value of your a. But if that's not an integer value, it's not really easy to determine exactly what that would be. My guess is that it's going to be about 1/3, but it's hard to be certain of that. So another way, which is always going to work, is to just pick any other point that exists on the curve, as long as it's a point where you can readily determine the coordinates of it. So for instance, this point right here, it's at 0 on the x, -5 on the y. I can take those coordinates, and you can always replace the function value f of x with y, with a y value. So we can say this is -5 equals a times 0 minus 3 squared minus 2. So -5 equals a times -3 squared is going to be 9, so a times 9 minus 2. Now if I add 2 to both sides, that's going to give me -5 plus 2 is -3 equals a times 9. If we divide both sides by 9, then we reveal that this is -1/3. So I had guessed at 1/3, and it looks like I was correct, but it didn't include the negative. It would have been easy enough to determine that I needed a negative, however, because the parabola is opening downward. Regardless, we have the function's equation, which is going to be -1/3 times x minus 3 quantity squared minus 2.